This conference will now be recorded.
Who happens to be currently the postdoctoral security researcher at Denmark Technical University. Welcome, Dr. Gaurav Chaudhary. How are you?
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for your warm welcome. I'm good, sir, and I hope everyone is good. And it's a proud moment again to go with my previous mother university. So it's a great chance to interact again you.
Yeah, Dr. Gaurav, if you'll permit, shall I read the bio to all the participants with your permission?
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, thank you, sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah, dear participants, Dr. Gaurav Chaudhary received the PhD in Information Security Engineering from Songyang University, South Korea. He has been the alumni of our institute and has done Master of Technology in Cybersecurity. If I do remember, the batch was 2014, right? 16.
Yeah, 16 to, yeah, 17.
Yes, he is presently working as a postdoctoral researcher at DTU Compute Department of Applied Mathematics and Computer Science at Technical University of Denmark. Prior to joining DTU, he has also worked as an assistant professor in the School of Computer Science, University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, that is UPES, Dehradun, and School of Computer Science and Engineering at VIT Bhopal University. In his PhD tenure, he worked at Mobile Internet Security Lab, that is Mobisec Lab at South Korea, as a cybersecurity researcher on various projects which were funded by reputed organizations such as the Institute of Information and Communication Technology Promotions, National Research Foundation of Korea, that is NRF, and the Air Force Office of Scientific Research, USA. His current research interests include threat intelligence, IoT, and CPS security, cybersecurity, vulnerability assessment, 5G security, drone security, and cryptography. He has authored or co-authored many reputed SCI journal, conference papers, and book chapters. He received the Best Poster Gold Award in BISA 2020, the 21st Conference on Information Security Applications, Jeju Island, Korea. He also served as a reviewer for various IEEE, ACM, and other journals. I'm really thankful that Dr. Gaurav Chaudhary has accepted our invitation to being one of the speaker in these FDP sessions. To tell you, Dr. Gaurav, currently we are having more than 200 participants registered in this particular 5 days FDP program. And currently, as we can see, for the last 5 days, we have around 125 participants which are actively taking participation. Due to, I suppose, like due to the holidays and the sessions are being organized during the Dasara vacations, preferably like some people would have not able to make out for the sessions. But yes, right now we can see that the participants are from variety of institutes across India, and researchers are from a variety of institutes, including ours as well. And today we are going to have two sessions only. Once is yours, and then we are going to have the session from Dr. Krishnan Kumar Mishra, who happens to be the senior professor at MNIT Allahabad, again my alumni institute. Okay, so over to you, and really thankful that you can make it out, preferably with the time lag what you are having from the Denmark to the India itself. So without wasting much time, I'll request you to please enlighten all of us with your research and the way you can just define what you are doing currently. So thank you.
Thank you so much for giving me this wonderful platform to discuss among various new faculties and already existing faculties of cybersecurity and another department. I welcome to all. It's a very good morning to all. My name is Dr. Gaurav, and currently I'm working as a postdoctoral researcher in the DTU Compute. So for today's sessions, my major discussion topic is lightweight IoTs and how we can provide security, why security is requirement, what kind of future solutions we are predicting, and upcoming time what we will face. So we will go through the key discussions with all these things with the major focus on the IoTs, because the upcoming market or upcoming domain is the only IoT which can be consist in the every aspect of the your daily routine life, from home to office, from work culture to your entertainment. Everywhere you will be interact with the IoT devices, which may be lightweight, which will be major. So that's why in the cybersecurity, this domain is vibrating, and you can see you have found lots of research and lots of solutions, security solutions. So we will go through or look this topic, as well as what we can do in terms of research and what are the future research directions. If you really want to do some collaboration with already like some research groups, or if you want to initiate, or if you want to push your students, your research teams, what kind of things you can do. So that's kind of things I will highlight in today's sessions. So that's my screen is visible.
Not currently, but yes, earlier it was visible.
Just one second.
Yes, it's now visible.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is the today's agenda or outline of our sessions. What we will discuss, what is the IoT, what are the motivation behind that, how the IoT security was evaluated, how it's emerged, then what are the history, what is the current state of IoT in the world. Then we will majorly focus on the what are the security. So in this, I will just measure on the two aspect only, but the behavioral aspect, because there are a lots of part in the IoT security. You can emphasize it's maybe from particular device, hardware, network, behavioral, and some kind of application layer, network layer. There are a lots of phases where you can apply your security. So mostly we will discuss about the behavioral aspect. I will take as a two case studies. One is the drones, and as well as patient controlled anesthesia. Then another method which is also on the controlling of your behavior, like remote attestation, how you will verify that device is working correctly or not. Then we will discuss about the what are the future IoT security challenges and research directions, and what are the research perspective, how you can proceed with it. So what is the motivations? Now we can see that there are lots of devices you have found in your regular life. You can see there are a lots of devices, IoT devices you have seen in your daily life. But how you will use in your daily life? From just start from morning house. If you talk about the smart home or smart appliances, then you use your car. There are smart things. Then you go to office. There are a lots of smart sensors, cameras, and the even the now pandemic is going on, so smart healthcare which is also emerging. Then lots of things we are seen in our daily routine, which is consists some IoT devices. IoTs, they connect some kind of a data, they collect some kind of informations and provide to some kind of a entity or some a third persons which are collecting or which are utilizing, which may be a cloud or fog or anything. So that kind of things included IoT devices in their systems. So that's why the concern is that if we are collecting lot of sensitive information from such devices, then how you can make secure them, what are the requirements. So that's why the concern of this today's session is only on the security perspective. So now, if we talk about the industry, there are lots of industrial IoTs. There are sensors in the power grid, in atomic centers, and then lots of. Then now, if we talk about the smart city, there are lots of sensor, fire sensors, alarms, and all other already equipped with the IoTs, water level, fire, then temperature control, cooling, all if you talk about the all aspect of a living life, then there may be some participate of some IoT devices is there. Then there are some kind of a consumer IoTs. They are focusing to provide your a life, daily life in a better way. So they provide flexible solutions, maybe smart appliances, homes, the printer, and your a microwave, oven, freeze. There are lots of things which can be included in the IoT things. Now, if you talk about the smart things, all things become smart. Then if anyone hack or anyone do some kind of a misconfiguration of it, it can be come to a weapon, or it can be served as a a some kind of a danger to our life. It can be happen. So that's why if you can consider such kind of if you are working in the medical devices, if you are using that IoT kind of devices, And if you look on that and some kind of a, like a, someone has a increase some slight quantity of drug through that particular IoT devices, or they just like a misconfigured your device, so it can be a become a tool for cyber killing. So the concentration of IoT device is like how to make them secure, because they are like a they are not controlling within the single framework. So it's a better to go with the we have to design with some kind of a frameworks or some kind of a standard architecture in which they can serve as a, like in a secure manner, and they can work smoothly and correctly. So you can see that in the lots of like arena of last 10 years, there are lots of IoT device has been came out, and now in 2025 we are predicting that maximum things are covered with the IoT devices. So it's a large scale development. The number of devices will be far larger than the current internet, because we have limited limitations with the like a network and all the other things, but we have a lots of devices. Then heterogeneous, you can see consider devices are based on the variety of platforms and communicate using different networks. Maybe some are working LoRaWAN, Zigbee, and some other things. Okay, so some are also supportive for the 5G and all other things. Then IoT connected the virtual world directly to the physical objects and environment. They're directly sensing all the informations and all other things. So they are collecting and they are processing. So you can see this is the like a kind of the downside I have made this kind of architecture, which consists like some kind of operating system, applications, storage, and some processing capability. Maybe it may be limited, connectivity, some sensors from that they are collecting some information, and to like work efficiently, they need a power. So there are battery backups and some kind of then actuators. So this is the all like a component architectures for they consist these kind of things. So if you talk about the big IoTs, okay, we will go with the big IoTs. They have a good computational capacity, they have a good operating systems, they have a like a efficient resources, so they can utilize and work like a correctly, and they can perform, they can sustain the load. But if we talk about the very lightweight things, very small, like a sensors, like a small sensors and some kind of another devices which are very light, and if you talk about the computational capability which is very low, like 100 MB, they have a storing capability, they can run for only 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour. So at the time, if such kind of devices they cannot hold much powerful computational, then there is a very difficult chance to control them and provide a security to them. So that's why we have to think about the resource aspect in terms of processing, in terms of bandwidth, in terms of storage, in terms of power, or in terms of memory. Everywhere they are lacking. So the flexible and feasible solutions are required to be very lightweight in terms of all these resources. Once you will start thinking, then you realize that, oh, sometimes we have to think about the memory, sometimes we have to think about the performance. So the trade-off between these things, it is a major challenge for the upcoming research. We will discuss in the next sections or last sections about what kind of challenges we will face in upcoming time. And still there are open issues in the IoTs, so how we can solve. So but that major concern at this time to discuss that they have limitations over their capabilities. So we have to think about that kind of solutions. If we are using in that particular thing, then how they can be serve as the better solutions in terms of upcoming time or future generation solutions. Now you can see this as kind of a trend, and now how IoT was like evaluated in the current times. Now cyber physical systems they are using, they are connected with the IoTs, and they are providing support, and they are working together with that. So there are a lots of, you can say, now evaluation is come around the sensors are 78% contributions in the current IoTs, device and network management working for 72. There are some kind of like a figures which I have taken from some report I have mentioned in the references, you can refer for that. So this is the current report which we are taking. So and we are expecting that in 2025 around 50 billion things will be in the market which are in the current running or some kind of a it's about working and running conditions. So providing them as security solutions is a challenge, because those who have already launched in 2015, 14, 16, they are they doesn't have particular patch, they doesn't have particular updations. So the challenge is that how you can upgrade them and how you can make it compatible with the current requirement. Now we are dealing with a 5G, but the requirement is like their devices are very low and they are very old, but they can be hacked or they can be moderate, they can be modified, they can be reconfigured. So it's a problem. So the challenge is that what we are developing and what are the already existing, how you can maintain the security among both these things. Now that if you talk about the generalized things, so there are already research challenges or are other things. There are like problems and security challenges that new devices for endpoint security, if you talk about the like that kind of things. So this is such kind of issues like a new firmware, embedded operating system, new software. Every time new solutions are coming, but they are not compatible with the older platforms. Sometimes hardware and software compatibility create a problem. So it's a benefit or it's a such kind of opportunity for hackers or attackers. They can use these things. It's a problem. New transport protocol for making network security difficult. It's another things like if you're talking about the secure data transmissions or authentication, authorizations. So these are the like things and the requirement things which we have to focus if we are designing about any transport protocol. There are already things, but they are lacking in some types of some parameters. So still now some more security emphasis over the communications part is going on. So network traffic and analysis, if you talk about the network traffic, so if anyone analyze your network, what kind of IoT is transmitting, so it's a very tedious task. Like if your camera is like shifted to your nearby home or someone is like attacked and they are capturing your packet and analyzing that. So it's a very crucial thing at the time. So we have to think about how we can go for the encrypted data and how they can be supported the endpoint, both endpoint things like a device, how it can be performed, which is capable to do such thing or not, or we are using any kind of some kind of intermediary solutions or some kind of agent, how it will be performed. So there are lots of things which grab the attention towards these solutions. Then if you talk about the security, so mostly in the cybersecurity, today's session is emphasized on the cybersecurity. So we deal with the CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability of all these things. So if we talk about the devices, so in the device, it can be as like a sensor or some actuators. They are taking some informations. They are embedded with the cyber physical system or some kind of a devices they are using. Okay, so say embedded system, smartphone, tablets, or some centralized control or wireless devices. So communication happens with the like in the some kind of a PAN LAN topologies or some kind of a gateway, or they are using different methods. Then there are some platform which support for the backend, like a web-based services, database, or some kind of like a cloud services and all other things. And use cases you already have aware about this. We can use in the like a major scenarios like analytics and visualizations, transport, energy, healthcare, and some entertainment. So all these things are holding such IoT devices, but the security concern among all the phases is the major task. So how we will provide security, what are the securities? So still we are thinking about that. There are already solutions, but there are not standardized solutions. Still now some standardizations are implementing in USA and Europe. They are like making as a some kind of a intellectual or some kind of a like special laws for the leakage of informations and like a maintenance, operational working of IoT devices, because now they are becoming the part of daily life. So providing a particular set of rules, instructions for them in terms of rules and regulations and defense policies is still open. If you talk about the how they can impact over that, what are the threats and all other, if you talk about some kind of a malware, exploit kits, eavesdropping, DDoS, weak password, counterfeited by the malicious devices, attack on the privacy, sensitive data leakage, and modification of informations, network outage. So these are the some threat vectors or some attacking vectors, or some, you can consider that these are the some kind of vulnerabilities. So from these it can be like consider, it can be happen like in the IoT device, they can be compromised, they can be attacked. So these are the method, or these are the some kind of attack vector. They can use some kind of like a clue, or some kind of a trapdoor to perform such things. So I have categorized into three, like which is high, which is medium. If you talk about the privacy, so privacy is the like a high, because in term of, if we talk about the medical thing, so medical considerations, so privacy is very high. If you talk about some kind of a law or enforcement agencies, they are in their organizations, if any IoT device is leaking such communications and talks or some kind of acoustic privacy, so it's a very huge loss for their particular organizations. Eavesdropping is also because it's directly they are listening what you are communicating and all of the things. Then medium, if we talk about the counterfeit or the malicious devices, we can control, we can like if run some kind of a misbehavior detections and such kind of a solutions. We can apply intrusion detection system, firewalls, and all of them. We can prevent. There is a not much bigger loss over the particular your applications. So this is we have categorized in generalized scenarios. Application to application, it may vary. Okay. Then malwares and weak password, DDoS, denial of attack services, exploit kits, and these things you can prevent by some kind of a mechanism, methods, and techniques. So there are some certain techniques. If you use that, if you practice such of cybersecurity things, so you can able to prevent that. So that's why these are the three major categorizations in which we have classified. So we know that IoT device is prone to cyber attacks. So major challenges: resource constrained devices. If you have a limited resources, how you would deal with it? They do not support complex security techniques. If you go for cryptographic solutions or machine learning based solutions, if you want to analyze and if you want to monitor, continuously monitor, they will like drag out. So it's a big challenge that a small device, how you will like ensure and trust a particular device that is secure and it will work correctly, or it's giving a correct data. Then second thing is deployed in the safe critical domains, contain sensitive and private informations, medicals, or if you are talking about the health, and if you are using some kind of a smartwatch or anything that in your home, some kind of a camera or some acoustic. Okay, so it's they can record your like a sensitive informations, and they can have a like a sensitive data. So it's a very big challenge for them also, how you will ensure that this is not being leaked or it's secure. Then there is a many interconnected devices are there. They are spread like seeds in the field. So controlling them in a single framework and in a single architecture, it's another challenge. So they are easily targeted because they are not good in terms of security architectural perspective, and they are not providing much attention of a user in the continuous manner. So a smart attacker, now earlier there was a like a ordinary attackers, now there is a smart attacker, opportunistic attacker. So they will try to like go with that particular device in the particular times when you are not monitoring, when you are asleep, that kind of things. When you're like you are not applying your security mechanism in that particular period, they try to attack on them certain time. It can be also easy to exploit. Then it's an attractive target, because if anyone want to steal your sensitive informations, they can be used to blackmail in the cyber world. If we talk about, they can be sold and they can be like used in the some various methods and mechanism to analyze and perform some illegal activities. So they can be used. Then if there are a lot of interconnected IoTs, they amplify the attack impact. There are a lots of solutions which we have to think about how to improve the situation. Prevent device compromise. This is the good thing. If you are preventing, like if you are ensuring that secure, like I say, so all devices are working correctly, and they are working in good conditions, they are secure, they are trustworthy. So in that manner, you can like prevent device compromise. It's another challenge. It's difficult. Why? Because we don't know in which aspect they can be compromised, in terms of network, in terms of configurations, in terms of data, in terms of another things. So we don't know at the moment. So all aspects should be secured. It's another challenge. Detect compromise a device, we can do that. We cannot prevent 100% a device, but we can monitor and we can identify it's working correctly or not. So detect compromised device to isolate from the network. Just kind of just in the current scenarios, like we cannot prevent, just in the scenario, in the currently we are going with the like a COVID situations, we cannot directly prevent, or we don't have such kind of mechanism to prevent, to affect from COVID. But what we can do, we can isolate them and from the particular persons, so we cannot be a zombie to them in our society. So we are doing like that. Same things we are applying with the networks and all things. So if any compromised device in our network or in our infrastructure, so what we can do, we can isolate or we can apply some more security measures towards that. So we can do like that. So it's possible. So detection tools are there, some monitoring tools are there, so you can use these methods and mechanisms and tools, so you can apply that and you can do like that. How to detect malware presence? So there are lots of malware detections and solutions are there, antiviruses you are currently using in your systems, but they are only based on the signature base. Now the new kind of antiviruses are came, in terms of they are working for the some kind of predictive things and machine learning based solutions, where database is also centralized. So if we talk about zero day vulnerabilities and unknown attacks, they are not able to cope up with this kind of solution. So it can be guaranteed that the device is telling the truth even when it is infected by the malware. It's kind of that I am ill, but I'm saying I'm fine, I am fine, I am fine. So I'm giving my like data to you, but will it be trustworthy or not? So this is the challenge. If a device is infected or he is treated himself as a good thing, so it's a problem for us. So that's why the another challenge is that how we can go to identify such devices and what kind of methods and mechanism we can apply for that. So I took some current examples recently. So one massive vulnerability is found across hundreds of millions IoT devices. This is the report by the Repel 20. According to a press release, the series of zero-day vulnerabilities. Zero-day vulnerabilities, like those kind of vulnerabilities, we will not know before that day. They are evaluated, or if their evaluations will be done on the same day. They are never have been identified or never have been explored. So that's why we call them as zero-day vulnerabilities. In a widely used low-level TCP/IP software library is developed by the Czech. These vulnerability given name Ripple 20 affected hundred of millions of devices. You can consider how much big amount is that, 100 of millions devices, and include multiple remote executions vulnerabilities. You can see this is the reference was there. If you want to refer this report more, so you can look there. So if we talk about one device, two devices, okay. If we go with the connected 1,000 device or million device, billion device, there is a same vulnerability, and we have to release immediate patch. And what is the guarantee, or what is the ensurety that it's the patch what we are providing the organizations or firmware will it go to the IoT device? This is another challenge. Then the fish tanks, another exemplary thing. Someone used a fish tank to get into the network, and once they were in the fish tank, they scan the found other vulnerabilities and move laterally to other places in the network. They use as a particular target for that particular network, so they use like that. Then security cameras. Ring, a home security product provided on by the Amazon, was hit by the class actions lawsuit in the US for report multiple hacking incident on the security camera that left victim traumatized. So these kind of things we are using in daily life, but we are not ensure that they are working correctly or they are like trustworthy or not. So that's why we need a legalizations or rules or policies or some smart security solutions which provide a surety about their working, and after if any incident happens, so what kind of legal things can be happen and how they can go for forensics and all of these things. So we have to come up with these solutions. Then printers. This is the also contains in the recent reports. The report highlighted that 60% of business in the UK, US, France, Germany suffered a print-related data breach in 2019. It's a critical because we are trusting in our organizations about printing, and we are giving the commands to the printers, and they are scanning, they are storing in the night time, they are releasing the document, whatever they scan or whatever they printed. It's a very big or very challenging because your all like agreements, your trade secret, your all other things will be also stored in such devices, and such they are passing through such devices to be printed or all other things scanned. So it's a challenge if it will be leaked or it can be analyzed for some kind of a surveys on some kind of a in the illegal market or black market. It's a data breach. So it's create a panic sometimes if you have some sensitive information leak. So it's if we printer is not trustworthy, then how we can ensure about the another things, because the regular things every organizations we are using printers. So let's say another thing. Third in the another scenarios, I bring these like exemplary recent attack because we have to think about how the critical world in terms of IoTs and what are the security requirements. Then lighting, because this is the most, I think so, most compulsory need for any like a house or any like a office or anywhere. Light is the thing which am I audible?
You're audible, sir.
Okay. So we are here the lighting. So I was taking like this scenario. So you can see that if your bulb is compromised, then it can be a trapdoor, it can be a way to enter your network. So we have to think about not measure security things. We have to think about how we can consider all the parameters, all the components of our smart things. They are secure or not, or is there any trap or is any door which can be used for the attackers, or any kind of vulnerability which can be exploited by the attackers. So we have to provide some security measures and we try to mitigate the risk. This is I bring the current report. This is the NSA report for 2021. So these are the top attack for the IT devices. If you talk about the network scan, you are using some Nmap or that kind of another tools. So you can scan that kind of attack will be based on the 14%. This is a kind of some experimental or some survey kind of things. So they have come up with this kind of particular facts. So 40% exploits, 32% malwares, and 26% user practice. So if you talk about 14%, then there is a network scan. If you talk about the 5%, this is the remote code execution. And if you talk about 5%, it's a buffer overflow, like your memory is not capable to hold some requests, so they do that kind of things. They execute some kind of commands, and which can be you open some more files and your RAM will become up, that kind of things. Another methods also some kind of SQL injections, zero day are 3%, then worms 12%, ransomware we already, I think so we have this term in last 5 years many times we heard this term ransomware, then backdoor trojans, botnets, then 26% user practice. This is the major thing in the risk or in your organizations. As a cyber like a persons, you have to provide some kind of solutions and some kind of a guidance to your organizations. We can go with this kind of practice and these things, so we can mitigate 26% directly. So if you provide your only awareness program which can be reduced 30% approx the risk mitigations level. So it's a very high. So it's as a this kind of like a faculty and development, I think so it's a more good platform to learn and provide and spread the informations about such kind of things and aware all the persons about these things, like they can use a good password, not in terms of IoT, in terms of everywhere, like in their internet and all other things. They are not terms of phishing and wishing kind of attacks. No one can can make fool them by making some kind of a lottery and all other things. Then password should be always strong. So you can reduce that kind of risk in even terms of IoTs also, because IoT is also part of our daily life. If you are like preventing such things, then it can be a chance that you can directly reduce the 30% risk. Then remaining like a malware and all other things, you can provide some kind of cryptographic solutions or some kind of a malware detections frameworks like antiviruses and some kind of firewalls. So it can be also mitigated. So it's a very big thing, 0 to minimum built in security. How we can go with that? Then browser interference vulnerabilities. There are lots of vulnerabilities which can be like accessed by the applications level. Then outdated operating systems. I already talked about in the previous slides that those IoT which came in early time 2014, 15 or 16, they are still running. And in today's global world, sorry, every day we can see there are lots of companies are opening, some are going, some are like coming in the market, they are developing, but there is no standardized thing that they can like provide service to their product. So it's a big thing. If if any product is outdated from the service, so how we can ensure that whatever the operating system patch or updation is came, it will reach to particular IoT device. This is the very big challenge for the upcoming time. Failure to adhere to the security best practices. This is the another things. We cannot ensure that all things, we are making a very big laws and all other things. It's kind of, if we talk in Hindi, we build a law for house. It's a very big, it's like a very big iron and made. We don't know about the windows. They are like a built with the very low quality and all other things. So that's another scenario. So if you are talking about the, if you are talking about the very big solution in terms of networks and all other things, but we are not considering the all small vulnerabilities of your basic infrastructure. Data facts. So what kind of major risk devices in our network or in our daily life? So medical imaging systems is another 51% because they are connected towards the internet now. Maximum hospitals, they are using that kind of smart machines for scannings and so it can be happen like with the medical systems also. Patient monitoring systems, so they can continuously monitor your particular patient's health and all other things, all aspects. So leaking such informations or some kind of, it's a crucial. Then security cameras, then printers. Security cameras will be 33%, printer will be 24%, medical device gateways, they are 9%. Then consumer electronics, 7%. Energy management, smart grid and all others. So recently we have faced in 2019 or 2020, we have faced a power loss in Mumbai last like I think COVID time. So it's a Mumbai smart grid got attacked in the cyber attack form, and it the 6 or 7 hour we can see. So they capture such vulnerabilities from small devices. They never target a big network. They will find a small loopholes in your smart things which are placed in the network. Then IP phones is also under in the 5%. Now we already discussed there are a lot of IoTs and things. So, but we already look how we are using, what kind of basic challenges. So now we come to the particular solutions, what kind of solutions we can provide. So you can think in terms of various solutions, in terms of network, in terms of communications, in terms of authentication, in terms of data privacy. There are lots of parameters or lots of areas where you can think about the particular security aspect. So I will take only two examples, two major things, because I'm not considering the network and the old aspect. I'm just considering the behavioral aspect of particular device, if it's working correctly or not. So for particular things, you can apply some misbehave detections approaches. So we will take the considerations about how you can apply and how you can go with the lightweight, a major focus about the lightweight, and how you can go with the another solutions. So it's just an exemplary scenario how you can perform research and how you can find out some solutions. If you really want to interested to extend this, you can look over there, and on the basis of these things, you can also think on another aspect or another application scenarios. So what is the challenges with the existing approach? You can say there are the kind of lots of variant of attacks is there. If you are preventing against a reply attack, there will be many in middle and any different because attacker is very smart. They are finding some opportunities and they are exploiting your vulnerabilities. So there are a lots of variant and forms and some methods of your attacks. So we cannot come up with all the attacking methods and prevent in terms of solutions. So we have to think what are the integrated solutions. It's a kind of an umbrella kind of a solutions which integrate all the layers of solutions. Okay, so it can be adaptive. So this is the major task. First thing is, if you talk about the variant attack, it should be adaptive. Your solution should be adaptive in terms of security. If you talk about new attacks, so there are lots of new attacks. Every day we are finding as a zero day vulnerabilities or unknown attacks. Then bypass analysis techniques. Just assume that you are have applied some kind of a monitoring. If someone has a skill or some attacker has a smart, he can bypass, maybe firewall bypass or another thing. Then limitations of irregular behavior detections. We don't know that how your system is abnormal behavior or it's a good behavior. Then if sometimes your system is behaving good, but we will consider as a bad behavior. Sometimes it's working as a bad, but we consider as a good. So that's where false positive and false negative rate may be high. Risk of system infections during analysis. There is a possibility once you take some kind of anything, may have done any analysis or these things, so there may be a risk that it can be infected. Bypass virtual environments, human interactions, and anti-debugging. Limitation of dealing with anti-cyber machine techniques. So this is another challenge. Difficult in real-time processing, difficult in high capabilities and capacity, high speed traffic collections and correlating analysis is also another chance. Need a lot of resources, storage space, communications, and high computing power. This is the major challenge, because my major intention was to discuss about the lightweight IoT. If you talk about the point G, this is the biggest challenge till now. All solutions which comprise some kind of a method and technique, they require some kind of a computational capability to perform something, to make a decision that your device is working correctly or not. So for that, you need some space, you need some resource, you need some kind of communications, so they can send their parameters, their current state, or some kind of a snap of their current working environment. And we need some kind of a processing capability also, so they can perform whatever the mathematical or whatever the we are taking some kind of a logic. So on the basis they can decide something. If you talk about the attack scenarios, so the particular IoTs and all other things, so take the network link between controller and actuator. It's a high, it's a network communications. Again, sensor modification, the value read by them or their threshold values and setting. Just assume that in your home there is a fire alarm, and you have put as a 50 degrees Celsius alarm. If you will read more than that kind of reading, you immediately it should be generate a alarm. So there is a attack happen and there is a script is already running in your network which always saying that it cannot go more than 50. So it's a fire thing happen in your home, but you cannot identify with that particular alarm. So it's another thing. So this kind of a modifications can be modify the values directly. So again, sensors sense from sensor to that particular like a motherboard, how they are transmitting, how their data communications and gathering. So after that or before that, if any modification will happen, so this is also crucial. Against actuators modifying or saboting the normal settings. If you perform some coagulation attacks over that, if you change the configuration, so it's another challenge. It's also be high against the administration system of IoT. If you gain any administration level, then you can reconfigure, you can like it, you can remove some IoTs from that particular network, you can defame or any kind of things you can do at the administrative level. Then exploiting protocol vulnerabilities, it will be high because it's we don't know that in which particular part they are getting the information. So the security in terms of authentication, authorizations, and we have to prevent it from made in middle and reverse dropping. Then stepping stones attacks, continuously making some kind of a bridges or that kind of things. DDoS, like they make a plan to affect your services in terms of availability. So it's crucial. Availability can be transmit, load balancing, all other factors, it can be reduced. So that's why it's not a too much high crucial. Power source manipulation and exploitations of vulnerability in data ratings. It can be sometimes medium, sometimes high, because if you don't, your device is not in the form of working conditions, if power that power manipulations happen, so it can be, thing is that they can be degrade or they are not able to work in the good conditions. Ransomware is also in the medium categories. So I came up with the window of vulnerability, so you can find in some papers. If you talk about the IoT device, so first thing is discovery phase. I have categorized in 4 things. You can assume there is an IoT device. There are 4 things. First is the discovery phase, then security patching phase, then intermediate exploitation phase, and then patch applicability phase. In between, what are the security requirement, where they can be happen. So you can look over that. If you want to pick up a particular things, you can perform some research and some solution for that. So let's assume that if a patch is released, so if patch is released, it's a security patching phase. So those devices which are upgraded and they are connected with the internet and they are working for the updations and upgradations from firmware, they are good. So we are talking about that kind of scenarios. So sorry. So it's a too long for normal vulnerabilities. We don't know that how they can exploit and all other things. So hacker expectations to be identify vulnerabilities. If any hacking or things happen, then the vulnerabilities will be patched with some firmware. So exploit code for the vulnerabilities patches, which can be learned from possible attacks, threats, and penetration testing. So you can perform some kind of a launch attack. You can find some vulnerabilities, some kind of a penetration testings and all other things. So you can do attacking after release of security patch, expecting latency in installation by users. It's another issue that it's taken too much time to install and all of the things. Even ransomware was the latest example for your systems. You can say that still we are running with the Windows 7 and that kind of things. In some organizations, they are running with the lower version of Windows. And if you talk about Windows, there is no updations and all other things. They are decline always updations. So it's another challenge that if you are running any patch and all these things, and but organizations, they are not allowing to update your firmware. Then patches release, then apply patches, damage already concerned, but once attack is happened, is already kept compromised and all other things already done. But after that, your firmware can wake up and they perform some R&D, and then they will release the patch. Then always you have to go for patch discovery. You have to learn launch non-attack to identify vulnerability. But what about these things are some kind of a windows of vulnerabilities, you can say zero-day attacks and all the things, but how you can identify such unknown attacks which are not falling under your research and all other things. You don't know that what kind of attacks they will performing, and we don't know because they are zero-day or unknown attacks. So it's a challenging task. So why current solutions fail to protect IoT? Because there is a limited visibility, cannot identify previously unseen IoT device, accuracy required constant effort, no protections. Existing visibility centric solutions do not offer native preventions or enforcement. We are talking about that we need some kind of existing good solutions which can be fall under as well as law, policy, and enforcements also hard to implement as another challenge. I mean, so if we talk about ground level, we cannot predict that our solution will reach to every IoT device. So that's why whatever the device we are using, we have to think about the current solutions as a security solution in terms of your organizations, which always monitor or that kind of things if a particular device is working or not. So now let's take the one good scenario about the how we can perform some kind of a misbehavior detections in particular devices. So first thing is monitor based misbehavior detections. So there are the lots of intrusion detection systems are there which are already exist, but they are not capable to provide sustainable solutions for limited or lightweight IoTs which has a limited like a computational capability. So for that you need some kind of a sustainable solution. So we come up with that kind of a solutions which is based on the monitoring. There are two possible way which you can apply this kind of a monitoring based misbehavior detection, which is you can implement inside the particular device. Say like you can run that particular script. It should be in the secure mode like XGX or TPM, that kind of solution, because now Intel and all other things they are releasing that kind of a smart and secure hardware solutions for the SGX and TPM. So in which you can store some keys, security keys and cryptographic codes and all other things. So in which if you are running that kind of a script, if the script is continuously checking your behavior and giving a decision. The monitor code is first thing is monitor device is the target device itself. Just assume that I am using some kind of a PCF and a patient control anesthesia and I'm implemented that particular is like a code inside that particular device, so it will be monitored automatically and it can be a good solutions. Okay, so the monitor code is executed in a secure computational space such as SGX enclave such that it can perform misbehavior detection even if the operating kernel of the target IoT device is compromised. If any like anyone has captured my IoT device or anything, but still my code is running in the secure computational platform, so it's a good chance that it can be like a script can be run inside the secure computational platform and it will give me the correct decisions. Second thing is that I will collect some kind of a behavioral aspect of particular device from the monitor, or I will ask randomly to the particular device to provide your what you are doing, what is your like a marks and all other things, what is your power consumptions now, how much packets you are sending in the descent trend. So I can take some kind of informations by the monitoring. I will not ask from device, I will take the like a current state of that particular device by some kind of a state machine. So if they will try to modify such things, it can be easily detected by some kind of a tools. So the monitor code is loaded on the memory of the monitor device for misbehavior detections of target IoT device. Just assume that I take as a little bit not a lightweight, it's a little bit big IoT. First example is a little bit big IoT if you are talking about the, but it can be applicable for the lightweight IoT also. So I took the both example. One is the normal IoT and one is the resource constrained IoT. So first talk about the UAVs, drones, which has a good computational capacity, but they have a limited or like a powers and all other things. So first thing is that by you have to give the operational profile for particular IoT device. If you want to find a misbehavior detections, you have to give the operational profile, how it will work, what are the parameters are allowed to work. Okay, like just if you are going to doctor and if you are telling your behavior like I am feeling not good, I'm like that, so you have to tell your behavior. So in the operational profile for particular IoT device, in the development designing phase, if this is the software related task, so if you are giving the operational requirement, how it will work, which is known as the, if you are working with the software things and all of the things, you know very well. So how operational like requirement are given and how we go with the SDLC and all of the things. So just assume that a scenario I have given a UAV embedded with a CPS. UAV CPS is charged with the following operational profile is the given by the field expert during the mission lifetime. navigate to specified locations following specified routes, perform correct data routing and intrusion detection functions, return correctly and time sensing data to the designated ground stations only, conserve energy, and upon confirmations from an authority, launch a missile at a specified battlefield and location target and return to the home airbase. So it's some kind of a particular things which can be involved in some kind of a particular performance of a particular IoT, which go in the some kind of a scenario, what we will perform, how it will perform. There are all things are explained in the operational profile. So as an expert in the field, he can identify some kind of mission specifications from the security requirements. So he will predict some security requirement. The UAV, this is the functional requirement which can be converted into the security requirement. These are the functional, like IoT should be performed in all. So these are converted into the some specific security requirement. So the UAV must follow a specified route for the reach specified locations. The UAV must perform correct data routing functions. The UAV must perform correct IDS. So these are the some kind of a exemplary security requirement which can be evaluated from your operational profile. Now what will happen? Now some security requirement lead to a threats, because if you predict your security requirement, there are might be a possible threat. First thing is that we are predicted all the threats. Sorry. Threat 1, the UAV is not able to follow specified route. Threat 2, the UAV is not able to perform correct data routing functions. The UAV is not able to perform correct intrusion detection systems. The UAV not able to return correct sensing data. So there are some kind of threats we have identified from the security requirement. So for these things, there are some kind of automatic tools also can be developed, some kind of intermediary with the expert also can be developed for the particular IoTs. If you can categorize the same behavioral IoTs in the same categories, you can design some kind of software. So it's a software development part where the conceptualization is work like that. Then some threats lead to some specific behavior rules. So after coming identify the threat, we have to come up with the particular behavior rules. It can be a some kind of a specific conditions they have to follow for the particular device. Let's assume that on the basis of only operational profile, we are not considering all the things, all the parameter, all the aspect. Only for the mission critical applications, we are considering how your that particular behavior rule can be like a evaluated and identified and generated. So just assume that on the basis of your threats, you are making some behavioral rule. Behavior rule 1, fly a specified rule. BA2, like a forward data packets. We have 3, provide true recommendations, produce accurate sensing data, produce timely sensing data. These kind of some behavioral rules we have predicted. So 13 rules are predicted, which are some kind of a security aspect, integrity, availability, and confidentiality. After behavior rules, you have to come up with the some kind of particular conditions you have to make in terms of attack behavior indicators, which can be imported in your state machine to your device, which can be identified in the particular manner. Just assume that BR9, do not deploy landing gear if outside home airbase. Just assume that this is the some kind of behavior rule. So how we can, there are 2 physical variables which are participating in the gear, like this deployment. One is the gear status, it's deployed or not. Second boolean function is UAV is not in have home airbase. So physical variable current location, there are 2 participants, like a physical variable are participating in this particular rule. So the gear status equal to deployed or current location equal to home. So both conditions should be and. So if gear equal to deploy and location not equal to have home airbase, so there will be it's a behavioral rule we will implement. If it will be fail, someone has tried to modify, or your like a drone is not particularly performed, so it can be automatically, this will give the state of 0. Then the second major requirement will come if you are making rules. Okay, fine, you are making rule, whatever rules you can make, it can be create the complexity, it can be a burden for the IoT device. Okay, we can consider that rules are particularly made, but how you can go for the correctness and completeness of attack behavior indicator on the basis of operational profile, like whatever the physical parameter you took, they can work correctly or completely. So like I just assume that I took the like locations, but there is no parameter in drone about the locations. So how you can cope up with that? So for that, in the software development part, if you are planning to develop any solutions, so you have to go for the formal correctness and completeness of attack behavior indicator. So what kind of parameter you took, which is complete or correct. So we will check for the each and every behavior rule before generations. It can be through some tool or anything. So what kind of physical parameters are available in particular behavior rule and how they are complete and correct. If they are complete and correct, we can go for the next state, which is the state machine. So state machine can be generated with the each corresponding rule, for every attack behavior, we have generated some kind of a rules, and it can be converted into some kind of ABIs, attack behavior indicator. So these are the like locations, target node NPR, target node data, and all other these things are some kind of a physical parameter which holding some kind of state. So on the basis of you can apply some kind of attack behavior indicators, and before that you have to check for the completeness and correctness of all attack behavior indicators. Then the next thing is that you have implemented your that misbehavior monitoring, like that state machine in the particular IoT device, how it will work. You will collect some kind of a compliance, or you have to go for that particular decision that it's working correctly or not. So you can correct continuously, or you can on the basis of periodically you can take the some kind of a screenshot of or this parameter with particular device like a memory, the target UAV state machines mismatch detections is running. If you talk about the another drone or another monitoring device which is collecting data on some period, so it can be a decision. Just assume that if any network attack or anything happen, someone has modified the data, but still some data which is not concerned. So and the time of snap, you can consider it's a continuously monitoring, and then compliance will go after some kind of a continuous data enforcement and data collection, then they come up with the decision. So for that you can use the very lightweight solutions. So we come up with the beta, and beta distributions for the statistical analysis, and we use that to predict it, like how many times you are probing to predict that it's working correctly or not. So now practical consideration, what affect your when compromised. Okay, so we have took for the practical aspect. Maybe attacker can be a reckless attacker, perform attacks whenever it has a chance. It's a smart attacker. Random is also on off attack, perform attack on the some particular behavioral rules like behavior 1, behavior 7. Okay, we model the attacker behavior by random. We have also done some random experimental things on the basis of random behavior. An opportunistic attacker, it's happened that when he get any opportunity, just assume that is some kind of a hindrance in the environment or all other things, then he get the opportunity and then perform some attack. So it's able to identify that also. Then inside is attacker, it's also detection rate of inside attack is inherently low because the attacker does not reveal itself. It's a hidden attacker, so it's to identify such attack, it's also a challenging task. So but still some honeypots and all of the things that you can identify from your network. If you are running such kind of things, you can identify that your inside is attacker also. If we perform, you can see the scenario is seen in the right directions. There are lots of drones, they are coordinating with each other, and one a major little bit light. They are the lightweight devices you can consider. You can consider the simple IoT devices. So both cases it will be fine. So the centrally it's a monitor drone which is configured with the state machines. It's collecting the data from all the drones and taking the decision they are working for the correct or not. It's a compilers collections, so it's continuously going. It's a beta distribution is run on the middleware like a monitor drone. So it's a take some very lightweight like a 13 parameter. They can set only I think so 3 or 4 bit some kind of a packet. It's a kind of a heartbeat packet, so it's not a computational and that overload, because we are just running the state machine which is very lightweight, and it's giving very lightweight like a boolean based decision 0 or 1 it's sending to the drone. So it's on the basis of these parameters 13 behaviors they can be identified easily. Second case, same things you can apply for very lightweight, which is the patient control anesthesia, which is used in medical devices. So same operational profile you have to provide for that particular IoT device. So by some tools, they can predict the security requirements, like raise an alert to the designated personnel and halt anesthetic injections if patient's medical condition is unfit. Raise an alert to the designated personnel and halt anesthetic injections if PC is not ready. Communicate with the authorized personnel only regarding the injection rate and the doses of medicines. Perform correct intrusion detection functions. So all, like whatever the requirement at the software levels, they have provided for the checking the security to check the misbehavior detection. So on the basis of these requirements, these operational profiles, some security requirement can be predicted. Yeah, hello. Am I audible? Hello. Okay. So then then on the basis of some operational profile, you have generated some security requirement like SR1, SR2, SR3. I have like a same procedure, whatever we have discussed in the previous slides for the drone, same things we have done for the small IoT devices, lightweight IoT devices. So security requirement will be evaluated as this. Now, what will happen? Some security requirement lead to the some threats. Just assume that your PC is not able to raise alert, like your PC is unfit and you are not able to give the alarm. Your PC is not able to raise alert and hold an injection when PC is not ready. The PC is not able to follow unauthorized commands, like you say some kind of injections and all of things, they are not pop up with that particular commands. The PC is not able to perform correct IDS functions. Are not able to provide true IDS recommendations. Sometimes you are saying that are you fine or not. They are not saying. The PCS rate and analysis injection rate is above the specified injection rate. Sometimes just assume that your heartbeat and these are not, some parameters are not correct. They are not sensing properly. So these things may be predicted as a threats. So you have to model all the threats in terms of behavior rules. So as a expert, security expert, or some with the help of tools, we are moderated into behavior rules. All the behavior rules will be on the basis of operational profiles and the like predicted security requirement. So security expert, like integrity, confidentiality, and availability will be evaluated out. Then same, the state machine will be generated with the basis of attack behavior indicators. Like I just assume that a pulse rate which is not equal to normal and actions is not equal to alert and hold. If such situation will happen, so it's if just assume that a pulse rate is not normal and action is not alert, then this is the problem. It should be not end operations. Okay, so patient's respiration rate not equal to normal and action not equal to alert and hold. It's also, and patient status defibrillations, then action equal to alert. If drug reserve is empty and you are performing X, if you are not performing any alert and hold, it's a problem. So all the behavior, the correct behavior will be modeled into some kind of attack behavior indicators, which will be transmitted to the particular device in the form of like a XML or some kind of another scripts you can perform on the basis of, if you can consider there are some monitoring device or some kind of device which are continuously monitoring the state, you can also perform into the particular device. Okay, you can say the process, there are a secure computational space, the behavior rules and monitor rules can be particularly installed in that particular, they are giving some kind of computational things, and you are identified that your device is working correctly or not. So this kind of a monitor, you can you can continuously monitor the behavior and you can identify that your device is in the true state or not. Then apply lightweight compliance data collector. It's a just kind of a research based things that you can go for the decisions that you are taking the correct decision or not. You can give the in the current, like you can rate out the criticality level of just high, low, medium of your behavior rules, which is more high critical. If you can also go for the research that probabilistic weight or priority based, which priority is high, I can go for that particular rule first. If any kind of a rules is breach, I have to immediately stop that particular device. So you can do lots of research on the basis of these things. So it's up to you. Then the summary of monitor-based misbehavior detections. The behavior rule specification-based misbehavior detection technique is generic and can be applied to the practical IoT embedded cyber physical systems for which lightweight embedded IoT devices are on the integral part of the overall system design. The behavioral rule specification-based misbehavior detection technique is the only feasible solutions. We have already found that we have come up, we have tested all these things. This is some kind of a results we have done, that it's a outperform continually outperform compared to machine learning and all other solutions. It's require very less than, I think so, 182 MB computational capacity is required, when we have considered that a lightweight IoT at least 512 MB like a storing capability. So that's why we come up with that kind of solutions. So you have to just folded the behavior aspect into the some state machines, and automatically your integrations will be continuously going on. You have to just keep up with the decisions. And the thing is that it's a valid solution in terms of zero day attacks also. This power thing is that they can also identify unknown attacks, which is never, because any behavioral aspect change will be noticed by the your scheme. It can be applied in the smart grid system, smart buildings, safety critical medical systems, and everywhere. There are some certain questions came your mind that the behavioral rules may be incomplete and incorrect, leading to the false positive. Yeah, it can be happen. So that's why we have to come up with the software requirement things, that you have to provide your all functional requirement correctly. Means your operational profile should be very strong and very clear to the. That's why you can able to make behavior rule properly, and you can moderate the security requirement. The behavior rule may be incomplete, and so that's why we took the example also. If it is necessary to propose a method to defeat against zero day attack that try to avoid pre-established specification based malicious activity detection, to which signature based detection are vulnerable. Yes, this method, you can say that this method, if you are talking about the signature based and anomaly detection based, so it's a more accuracy against such comparative existing misbehavior detection approach. You can consider this like it can be defeat also zero day and unknown vulnerabilities. So it's a standing solutions. A vulnerability is when UAV is hacked and bypass the detections. If even the bypass the detections, any like a devices, IoT device is compromised and is tried to bypass the things, they can be identified easily because the code is running in the secure like a platform, which may be XGX or TPM or these things. So you can ensure that whatever the decision they are try to giving, it's running in the hardware level. It's not a kernel level. Then second method you can consider as a remote attestations. So it's a asking to a particular device is taking a screen in like a screen status from the particular device, that are you working correctly or not. It's a saving, okay, are you working correctly, then tell me A plus B, what is this, the A plus B. If it is giving, then it's a some kind of a, this is procedure is known as a remote attestations. So two-party security protocols like verifier and prover. And verifier is the external trusted entity, not always present, not possible to physically reach a device. So it sends some command and ask to perform this. If device can perform correctly, it's a correct. So remote attestation allow a verifier to guarantee the authentications and integrity of the software running on the prover. So verify that prover is now running in the initial applications, like a verifier then a prover. He sent the some trustworthiness requirement. So prover will say that okay, this I will compute this and this is my output. On the basis of that, he will check that it's correctly or not. So remote attestation in traditional systems like TPM, hardware-based attestations. The earlier time it's using TPM. They are using some like a configured, like a same kind of what we are talking about, the state machine. They are installed in the TPM trusted platform. Then secure crypto procedure, create storage using encrypted keys, make an anonymous remote attestation to host status, like just verify, send some kind of a code, like signs attestations, and then some kind of a credentials will be verified. So it's a ordinary procedures. Now come with the latest solutions. They are, it's a like a first request, you can say the issued grant attestations keys, then it will be go to your system's host will be checked, assign attestations, then it will work like that. So you can see the prover and verifier, how it will work. Generate nonce, then it's when send a challenge to prover that, okay, are you fine, are you working good, so tell me what is this, like how you can solve this challenge. It can be some kind of a control flow, it can be some kind of a output. Okay, so a test S plus C, so current state it will be a test. So what are the challenge? So on the basis of challenge, he will solve, the prover solve, then it will send the response, then it will verify that, okay, it's working correctly, means it's all working internally correctly, means it's a like a script is not changed, so A plus B equal to C, correct. So it's verifying that. A plus B can be anything. I just took the example. So there are typical adversary models. So software adversary, remote infect device with malware, local learn device secret, impersonate or clone can be launched, side channel attacks, mobile adversary relocates or delete itself, hardware adversaries are still physical intrusive, capture device and physical extract informations and all other things, and physical intrusive capture device and modify content and components. So there are lots of adversary models. There is a challenge which is executed by the verifier. So it's authentic, flex, and unpredictable. If anyone predict, he knows he can put, he know the result, then he can work as. Just assume that if you are a taker here, then you know what is verifying sending A plus B, you know the C. So you can say that, okay, please transmit C. If you don't know what is the mean of A and B, then you can only evaluate it by the some performing some computation from your system. Then it's a challenging task to avoid by the attacker. So then it can be attested by the prover. So this is another approach you can perform. It's like a remote attestations. It's a particular for IoT devices. You can, if you are running in the some systems, you can make some kind of a fragmented or some kind of a segmented framework for particular these things. You can apply some misbehavior detections and remote attestation together with some kind of a machine learning, so they can smartly analyze your whole IoT device randomly, and it can ensure that there are some kind of a malicious or misbehavior like activity they can easily identify. So there are approaches for the remote attestations like hardware designs, memory, number of devices, network topology, the communication data. So it's on the basis of these things, there are a different research has been conducted. So hardware based, software based, or hybrid. For the memory, if you take the memory system, static versus dynamic attestations, the number of devices, single device versus swarm. So there are a collective manner. There is maybe a network topology, static versus dynamic, or communicate data, swarm versus distributed services. There are existing solutions. If you are really interested to explore these things, you can look over that. So this is the state. It was started in 2014. It was very older things. No one knows about what is these things, but it's when IoT emerged in 2006, it come in the boom. So now lots of edge computing and fog computing, and then research cloud and all other things. They are looking for the some kind of adaptive solutions for the remote attestations. In 2015, it's come in the major research. So you can, there are lots of solutions are still going on to identify. There are privacy preservations and all other things. So still now research is going for distributed verifiers. There are distributed persons who are verifying that how it will be happen and all other things. Now if you really want to work for the remote attestations and you are looking for the feature works, so there may be a offloading array. How you will go for exploit this step this deployment model for IoT for cloud to implement a new remote attestation approach for low-end IoT devices, which optimize the remote attestation protocol for IoT device by securely offload the attestation computation to the cloud. Just assume that your device is saying that I'm going for out of battery. So it's a requirement that how he can fold his data to the cloud, or he can transfer his services to another service migration. At the time of service migrations, these kind of protocols can work as a very good like a backend support for these things to take the decisions when they have to take. Just assume that I am the IoT devices, I'm saying my battery is dying, but my battery is full. Every time I will say that, so you have to offload the data frequently. So it's a problem. So attacker can do like that. It can increase the load on your system. So how you can identify? You can send some kind of a remote attestations protocol. You can ask some challenge. If it's ruling correctly, then it means the device is in correct form. It may be really degrading. Okay, so you can identify such things. So last of sections of today's sessions about, we have look about the IoT things, and then we have particularly look about the behavioral aspect and behavioral security solutions for the IoT as well as lightweight IoT, and we took the 2 case studies. We also looked on other solutions about remote attestations. So let's talk about the what are the future IoT security challenges and research directions, and what are the research perspective we can think about that. Future IoT research challenges and research directions. So most in the initial phase, I already discussed about 26% things already considered by the like a user awareness or other things. So weak password protection is the local thing you can consider. So as I took some data from some sources, the Mirai infected IoT device from the router to video cameras and video recorded by the successfully attempted to log in using a table of 61 common hard-coded default username and password. So this recent in January 2020, ZDNet details how hacker published a list of telnet credentials of 5,15,000 servers, routers, and IoT devices. It's a huge, you can say, huge data for the IoTs. The password dump by obtained by the using factory present default username and password. So there is a awareness programs and some kind of a strict password rule-based policies are required for which if you are using anything, because in India, not India, and if you talk about the world level, so mostly users are lazy, that even don't want to change the existing passwords and existing username which can be come from the company. So it's a first thing that you should be aware about your solutions and how the awareness will come, and all other things only with the cyber security solutions and like considerations are the secondary thing. First thing is that you have to aware the users about that what is the requirement and how you will do or why you should do. So possible solution that network managers using adopted IoT identity and access management solutions have a wide range of device authentications. Like if you are working with the smart and adaptive, then they can easily identify which has a common name and which has a common security solution. So in terms of identity and access management, they can provide alarms and all other things. Okay, maybe you can go for selling two-factor authentications with your like a phone and all, multi-factor authentication, biometric, and those things you can bind with that. So it can be upcoming solutions. Lack of irregular patches and updates and weak update mechanism, this is another challenge. The IoT products are deployed with the ease of use and connectivity in the mind. So they may be secure at the time of purchase, but become vulnerable when hackers find new security issues or bugs. So time to time updation is a very big challenge for the IoT. If they are not fixed with a regular update, the IoT device become exposed over time. Okay. So for that, some kind of a strict policy regulations and that kind of format, like a form and platforms are required where we can discuss about the rules and cybersecurity laws for that thing. So California's and Oregon's IoT cybersecurity laws recently they have come up in the like in January 2020 they have initiated, or the UK's proposed IT cybersecurity law 2020 required the IoT devices sold in their respective territories to be fitted with reasonable security feature such as unique password, regular security updates, and vulnerability disclosure in particular. They bind with some kind of a strong policies and rules with the IoT selling and manufacturing production. So there are more security concern and solutions are required at the time of end users also. So there are another possible solutions. So responsible manufacturing should go to extra mile to fully secure the embedded software or firmware built into their devices. They will release security updates for their IoT device when vulnerabilities are discovered. So it's an immediate response. That's why I took this line that we don't know that how many manufacturing companies are establishing and they are leaving market with the early phase. So there is a lots of devices which don't have the patches. How you will cope up with it? Then insufficient data protections. Data security of IoT applications are due to insecure communication. Communication security, if you are taking data privacy and all other things, is also major concern. So one of the significant challenge for the IoT privacy and security is compromised device can be used to access confidential data. So recent, you can have bring this news that US IoT Cybersecurity Improvement Act that became a public law on the 4th December 2020, which recently, I think, from 7 and 8 months. The Cybersecurity Act regulation 2019 and 81 on 17 April that came into force on the 27th June 2019 and become law in the European Union also. So you can say that Western countries, they are implementing such strict rules and some strict policies with the IoTs, data breach and all other things. Still, India is also in that finalizing some kind of a data breaching rules with the social media, IoT devices, and all other things. You can see the last few months ago, they also have a debate over the WhatsApp and all other like a social media data privacy considerations and all other things. So it's still going on, but the thing is that how you will protect in terms of communication security with the cryptographic solutions, and there is a standardized solutions or not. And if you are designing some kind of a organizational or maybe some kind of a particular individual perspective, end-to-end security and all other concerns are still open. So maybe possible solutions, authentication and authorizations. What are the like the device authentications is it truly correctly or so you have to verify that particular device so before deploying. So verify can be done by the remote attestations, and it can be completely done with the continuously with another mechanisms. Some digital certificate that are computed with the some kind of public key infrastructures. How to maintain single framework solutions is another challenge. It's if you are coming with the generalized solutions, and if you are working for your nation's wide security about the IoT devices, how you come for the standalone application as well as like a lightweight and all others. So how you provide a solutions. So if you are working for the some models, it will be better. Then insecure interfaces, it's another challenge. All IoT devices process and communicate data. They need app services and protocols for communications, and many IoT vulnerable originated from the insecure interface. So web application development and then application perspectives also. They are related to web application API, cloud and mobile interface, and can compromise the device's data. Common issues include a lack of insufficient device authentication and authorization. So if you're talking about the from ground level, from device to interface level, there are a lots of security parameters are lacking in terms of development, because we don't know that what parameter or security is required. We are using encrypted form for the secure codes also. So that's a challenging task. You have to think about all these things, parameters and considerations if you are designing about the security policies, frameworks or anything. So whatever the aspect you are taking, it should be integrated and it can be easily adopted by the second parameters also. So data encryption and decryption, but lightweight, it should be lightweight, because we don't know that how much computational efficiency we have with the IoT cryptographic algorithm, and how to adopt these solutions with the already devices, running devices, because they are I think so compatible or not. If they are still running in the environment, so they can be considered as a vulnerability for the system. You are bringing lots of powerful like a security solutions, but a IoT which is already running, which is out of the market and able to exploit lots of vulnerabilities. So how you will identify such things? It's a challenge. Then most thing is poor IoT device management. A study published in July 2020 that analyzed over 5 million IoT and Internet of Medical Things are unmanaged connected devices in healthcare, retail, and manufacturing, as well as life science. So this is the report. This brings some kind of data and solution like this kind of effect. So 15% of devices are unknown and unauthorized, 5 to 19% are unsupported legacy operating system, 49% of IT teams were guessing or had tickered or their existing IT solutions to get visibility. So you can see there are lots of like a increasing facts and like a you can say digits. They are continuously towards to the maximum possibilities. So due to only poor IoT device management. So this is the challenging task. You have to come up with some kind of smart adaptive IoT access and identity management systems, so they can deal with that things. there are some kind of a possible solutions like advanced IoT device management platform you can adopt. There are lots of companies like Cisco and lots of IBM. They are developing such kind of solutions for your organizations, and you can adopt. From the smart home level, smart city level, there are still such kind of solutions are emerging. So lots of things are come in the mind in terms of research perspective, but for individual framework, there are a small paradigm or small component compromise your individual research, maybe misbehave detection, maybe verification, validations, authentication. There are lots of things in which you can contribute. The last and major thing is that you can fill the IoT skill gap. You can whatever the gap between user as well as the awareness. So if you can provide training and upskilling program need to be put in the place, additional insightful workshops, hand-on newsletters and bulletins, hackers, and these things you will provide. So where team members can try to hack a specific smart device and make a huge difference. You can see in the earlier slide, I already told you that 30% to 40%, if you can mitigate the risk without providing some powerful solutions, only the spreading some awareness program, it's a high impactful and very low cost optimized solutions for the organizations as well as users. So export collaborative simplifies IoT deployment, IoT cybersecurity from the ground up, effectively handling IoT security concerns, more focused on IoT security and privacy issue solutions, norms and regulations. These are the major upcoming boost things you can find in the research. These are the a major domain. I did not pick up the particular problems. You can find the particular problems in the particular big domains like IoT deployment. If you talk about deployment, operational maintenance, development, design, lots of concentrations and are needed in terms of designing their policies, their rules, as well as their framework solutions. So all things can be done in the major things. So these are the major domains you can consider for your research. If you are working for some kind of research and innovations things, you can consider these things. Okay, so for today's sessions, I'm winding up with these IoT future security challenges, and we have covered today's about all the aspect in terms of behavior things, particular IoT. I come up with some challenges and all other things. What are the other domains in which you can think? So if you are really interested to collaborate on some research and some these aspects from the IoT perspective, cyber physical system perspective or frameworks, or if you are looking for some kind of some more solutions, you can you can contact me through my email or if you want to collaborate for some features, I will always available for consulting these research directions and all. I'm always eager to collaborate with researchers. So if you have any plan to collaborate on some research, you can come up with me through my email address, and you can contact through me LinkedIn also. Thank you SPP Center for providing me this platform to discuss with various faculties all over world. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your very informative and knowledgeable session, sir. And these kinds of topics are not normally discussed in the sessions, and I hope that every participant has got benefited by this topic, sir. And the way you explain the practicality and application part is simply amazing, sir. I really appreciate your efforts, sir, for making this more interactive and more happening. Looking for many more sessions with you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for all.
Good morning.